You're listening to the Rogers Waterfowl Podcast. This is Aaron Jones.
Chandler Smith here. Let's talk some waterfowl.
Rogers Waterfowl Podcast coming at you remotely this week. Not in Liberty, Missouri. We're in McGee, Arkansas. As I was instructed, I've been saying it wrong for, I guess, since we got here.
Yeah, since the drive down, we've saying, every time we look at the map, we're saying it wrong.
McGee. That's not correct. So we're actually down here duck hunting with Realtree. And speaking of Realtree, we've got Brian
Doughman
from Realtree and
Cole Barthel.
Cole Barthel. And you're affiliated with Realtree.
Yes, sir.
And you do some...
We do a whitetail series online, and we have a 2019 waterfowl series coming up.
Awesome.
For next
Excellent.
year.
So we're down here. I guess you could say we're duck hunting with Realtree. There's you guys sent all the birds away or something.
I think they're still up there with y'all.
You think they're still up north, huh?
No, hopefully they're making their trek back, or making their trek down as we speak, hopefully.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I was out honker hunting last Saturday, or not Saturday, Sunday. I guess it doesn't really matter. But, we're hunting geese. Our duck season closed, and I saw so many mallards, on our reservoirs that were still thawed out. We had 8 inches of snow, but we still had open water. So we still saw a ton of ducks, but we're supposed to be getting, like I said, in the negative 11 the next 2 days up there, and everything's going to freeze up quick, and the ducks should be, on the train down.
Mm-hmm. Now let's
just
talk
in time.
A little bit about your duck season down here. How's it been, Cole?
I would say overall it has been pretty down. We've had some good hunts, and we've had some good weeks at times, but for the most part, there's been a lot of deer hunting. There's been a lot of deer hunting. But we've killed some ducks here in Arkansas and Louisiana, and we're close to the border here and right up beside Mississippi as well, so we're kind of in that little hour range of getting to all 3 states. But it's been a struggle, man. We haven't killed the big ducks, as we haven't killed the mallards that we usually kill. It's been a good teal year. We've killed a lot of off ducks, but still, there's 1,000 different excuses or reasons I could tell you why we haven't. I feel like it's been the cloudiest duck year I've ever been a part of, and I love a bright, sunny north wind day, and it just doesn't feel like we've had that much this year. But for the most part, I just don't think we've seen the ducks or had the ducks that we usually have. I don't know if they skipped over us, or like we said, they stayed up north longer this year. And I know y'all are referring to still having a lot of open water as of a week ago.
Yeah, we've got most of the birds pinned up.
We thought that. Well, I'm not going to tell you what we really think about y'all guys in Illinois and Missouri. So we want y'all locked up at Thanksgiving. So.
Yeah, and ice eaters and all that.
Yes.
I'm sure you have kind words for us.
Yes.
There. So really what we want to talk about, too, is the new Realtree Timber pattern, which, Brian, it was kind of a soft launch for 2018, and it's going to be a little bit more progressive for 2019, correct?
Yep. We picked some waterfowl companies that we went to market with in 2018 just to kind of get a feel for it, and we did a soft launch. And, going into 2019, next week at SHOT Show, we're going to have a full-fledged launch, pattern launch that we do, and it's really exciting for us because the reception we've seen from the consumer at retail this past fall has been phenomenal. So we're pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I've seen some unbanded and Drake pieces already, and we already got them in stock, so that was really nice. It was good looking stuff, and we'll go into that and what we like about it.
Mm-hmm. Max 5 has been one of our most popular patterns for years, and I guess this is to kind of complement that, except I guess kind of cater that darker pattern market. How did Timber come about?
So, we've had Max 5 for years, and prior to that we had Max 4, and we knew we had a good pattern in those for the open field, water hunter. It's been a popular pattern, like you said, probably the number one waterfowl pattern, no doubt, out there in the market now, but we were missing that timber hunter. We knew duck hunters are very resourceful, and they're very targeted in what they want to wear when they hunt. So we felt like there was a need to target that timber hunter, so Bill set out a couple years ago to do that, and through a lot of work on his part and a lot of conversations, Cole talked about it, a couple of years ago, bringing fabric down here in the middle of a swamp, just raw fabric, hanging it around a timber tree. We've done that, and the testing that Bill goes through to get a pattern to market, I hope one day we can document that in a video series of itself, because a lot of people think you just go out and take some pictures and graphically put it on a computer and go to market with it. But it's much more than that, you know. And when Bill's got a special knack for designing patterns, looking at colors, the way they lay in there to create depth, to create you know, the 3D effect that we get out of these patterns, and this one's no exception. You know, it's a very dark pattern relative to what we've seen, you know, from Realtree in the past, and but he's able to use colors to create depth, and I think that's one of the things that makes this pattern unique. And not only does it blend so effectively in the timber, but it also has depth, you know, which is pretty unique.
Well, that's one thing I noticed today. You're wearing all Realtree timber, duck hunting when we're in the blind, and it does have a crazy amount of depth to it. And even though that we're in a pit with grass around it, it's not like it's just absurdly dark by any means.
Right. It kind of, and I know we talked about it off there a little bit ago, and I know they're not marketing it as that, but it really has been for us this year, been a do-all pattern no matter where we've been hunting. We still use Max 5, and I love the pattern, but whether we're hunting in a field like today in a coffee bean field, which is kind of a darker environment, it's not straight up rice or corn or anything, but it fits in just about everywhere we go, whether we're in the woods, the swamp, field, anything, but it is a special pattern that can just do it all, really.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the thing, too. You even think if you're hunting flooded corn, if you're looking at something, you know, on the horizontal plane, sure, it might look a little dark, but you got to think something from above's looking down over dark water in between rows. I mean, it's not. I think it could be a very versatile pattern.
Yeah, that's a good point. When you, it's easy from a human aspect to look at the horizontal plane and look out across the field you're hunting and see the colors you see, but you know, get up above and look down and see what you see. I mean, that dark, especially the area we're in now, that delta dirt. You know, it's one of the worst mud dirts I've ever seen in my life. I told one of them today, I said, you get this stuff on you, it makes concrete give up. Right. I've never seen anything like it, but it's got a unique color to it. Definitely we've got the palettes and tones in this pattern we've created here with timber. But, you know, when you think of a timber hunter, that Mississippi Delta region we're in between Arkansas, Louisiana, and Mississippi, I mean, that's where the timber hunting's done. And you know, that's where this pattern was designed, and it fits well, and it blends like, you know, nothing we've ever done before for that target.
And Chandler, you've probably noticed too. I would say like a Max 5, a lighter pattern is king for our area, but I have noticed a lot of people moving towards a little bit darker patterns.
Yeah, and this darker, I mean, it has some depth too, and the Max 5 has been great for a field. It's got some darkness to it. It's got some depth, you know, so it's not exactly a very, you know, very cornfield pattern. It's very all-purpose is what it was geared for. But still, this timber pattern, I just seeing it. It's, you know, there's a lot of dark grays and browns and stuff blended very well together. But it's also got the depth and the shadows, and you can visually see the layers, and that right there is what I think when from a bird's eye view, that is going to confuse them, and it's going to break up that body outline. Just that depth that it added to it. It just looks really good, and it just, I know it came from, you know, these areas. I mean, driving down here, we just all see that color, and man, this thing will disappear once you walk into the woods. I mean, from a human and from a bird aspect.
Mm-hmm. And Brian, I know you were talking about this was designed specifically for a waterfowl pattern, but Cole, you think it's got really other applications?
Oh yeah, and he may, and I understand if he doesn't want to say it, but man, we have used it deer hunting. I know a lot of people have talked about using it in the turkey woods as well, but we've gone from deer hunt to duck hunt in the same day, in the same week, and not changed camos, and we absolutely love it, especially sitting in a lock-on or a ladder stand in a river bottom somewhere in hardwood somewhere, and it just fits. It's a great pattern. You don't always have to carry several different camos with you or whatever, but we still use edge as well. But man, this timber pattern I really think is going to be a do-all pattern. But the amount of extensive work they put into this timber pattern, like we were saying earlier, when I was with Brad 2 years ago, and I still remember that vividly, of putting that fabric up against the trees. And we were out there. We were trying to kill ducks, and we killed some, but we were there strategically for the pattern and just seeing that out there. And this was 2 years ago. And we knew it was going to be a special pattern there. And it's not this exact pattern. So I know when he took that back, they went back to the board or the computer or whatever they may do there at that special place to nail it. And I believe that they nailed it.
Sure. Now, Brian, you may be able to answer this. When you start the making the camo process, how many steps or how many renditions or versions are there before you guys lock in on one?
Well, that's a good question, and it's one of them things. Like I said, I wish I could document the building of a pattern because we consider timber a niche pattern, and our main pattern, such as we got now, is Realtree Edge. We've got Max 5, we've got Timber, we've got Max 1 XT, so we've got a whole assortment of patterns out there. But when we do one of our main patterns, it's 3 to 4 years in the making, to get that done. Timber's, probably 2.5, 3 years, in the making, and it really depends on the timelines we're under with Bill. But there's a lot goes into a pattern. It's never just let's go take some pictures and graphically put it together on a computer and go to market with it. I mean, it's so much more than that. And from our aspect, when you ask how many renditions there are, we're liable to print 50 to 100 renditions, sometimes even more. And when you get into printing, there's screens that you engrave. We're liable to cut 50 to 100 screens, tweaking little tones. And around the office, we always have fun with Bill because as salesmen and people who want to get this to market, we're ready to go. We got a new tool in our tool bag. We're ready to take this to market. Bill's got a relentless pursuit of perfection that makes us who we are. We all appreciate it. We just never like his timing of the changes we go through sometimes. But no doubt we have a running joke in the office, that every time he makes a change, it's kind of like, oh, we don't have time for this. But we all kind of grin and bear it because his changes always work. They always make it better, and that's the thing about it. No matter what we go through, when we make these changes along the way, it makes it better. But from a timing standpoint, trying to get things to market, it can be fun sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, I know you've probably got other stuff that, as far as patterns too, that you've got in the works, and I'm sure you probably can't talk too much about them. But is there anything you can? Or
well, there's no doubt, Bill, where he's at in life right now. He loves patterns. I mean, that's his passion. He's built a business model that's 30 plus years old on building patterns, and there's nothing he doesn't like more than coming into office and we talk about shapes, we talk about colors. I wake up at night thinking about warm grays and warm browns because I hear that terminology more than anything. But he's got a very good outlook on patterns, and out in the market now, there's so many patterns out there that are, as we call them, coming after. We've been around. We're kind of the original, and Bill's been around doing this forever, and so there's a lot of people trying to chase what he's built in the industry. And when you get down to it, nature doesn't change, and that's what Bill always tells us. When you go look out in nature, the colors in nature don't change from year to year. There's always the same color palettes. You got to work with nature and find something that effectively blends in nature. And so that's, there's no doubt Bill's got a gift for that, and he's proven it with, 30 plus years. But we do have more patterns in the works right now. Definitely a little different from what you've seen coming from Realtree. I mean, Timber's kind of a step in that direction, but we've got some other things coming in the coming years that the market's going to see. It's going to be pretty cool.
Sure. Now, I noticed one thing that I think we were talking about earlier, that the timber is a little bit more abstract than your traditional sticks and
Yep.
twigs pattern. So obviously that's a direction you kind of wanted to go with that.
Yeah. It seems the consumers leaning that way in the market now. They're looking for something different than your traditional stick and limb. But at the end of the day, you have to realize if you want to blend in nature, you got to look like nature no matter what. And that's one thing Bill's been able to do, even with timber, is, it's all natural elements that we've put together to create somewhat of an abstract look. Not really. I mean, when you lay out a full repeat of fabric, you can tell what you're looking at. But we designed it specifically where when you cut it up, there's going to be some things in there that create some really unique looks, that you would not be easily identifiable in nature, which would lend itself to have an abstract look. And, that's what we're trying to accomplish, is keep everything natural and real as it can be.
Sure. Now, this is what you're going to be, Cole. This is what you're going to be wearing predominantly for.
Yes, we will still wear edge at times. We will, but man, this Realtree Timber, especially with the waterfowl series coming up next year, we're going to start up north, and we're going to work our way down. And we hang our hat in Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, that area, but we will start up north, and we'll follow. We'll have Max 5 with us. We'll have Timber with us. But once we get to, once you get to that Thanksgiving time of the year where you're back around this area in Arkansas, Louisiana, back home, man, it is timber every day. That's what we've done that this year with the samples and the new clothing that they've put out. Realtree does a great job of giving us what we need to go out and just experiment and try it all. And man, we have been and I'm not just saying this, but it is our favorite pattern we've ever worn. And it's going to be a special pattern, and I keep going back to we'll climb on a tree stand with it just as much as we're going to duck hunt with it. So we look forward to that next year as well.
Well, and Realtree has a pattern for every environment.
Yeah, that's what we set out to be. We're kind of the camo authority, so to say. I mean, whether we want to be or not, but people come to us to get effectiveness camo patterns, and that's what Bill sets out to do. No matter what environment you're going into, we want to be able to have you covered with a pattern that you feel comfortable with. And a lot of people go out and they may spend thousands of dollars for 1 week trip, that they only get to go on, and they need to be, effectively camouflaged. So, they're going to have the best success that they can have.
Sure. And I know, I've got, my father, he's been to Africa, and a lot of your patterns he's worn over there, especially the Max 1. I mean, that's a pattern that he absolutely loves over there. So it's not necessarily like these Realtree patterns are only going to work here in North America.
No. We've experimented with things around the world at times, and it's funny. A lot of the development work we have to do, unfortunately, is overseas, and it's always fun when you go to these other countries, and I'm taking a piece of fabric out in the middle of a foreign country, wrapping it around a tree, to see the looks you get from people like, what is this guy doing over here with a piece of fabric, wrapping around a tree, taking pictures, So.
We were back in Africa in February, and Kyle's another guy that works with me on a day-to-day, everyday basis with Realtree as well. And we carried a bunch of extra Max 1. We took Max 1 over there as well, and Edge. And we get over there, and our guides are already wearing Max 1. So that was pretty cool. It was so we end up leaving our stuff with them, but, man, like he said, man, it's everywhere. And it fits it. And there is a pattern to fit just everywhere you want to go. Even go back to Max 4. It was real light. And then they come out with Max 5, and that light was good in places. And they come out with Max 5 and darken it up a little bit, where you could get away with using it in the timber at times and still in the fields. But that was a great point you brought up earlier from the bird's eye view, as far as seeing what they see. We don't see that. We don't think about that all the time. But that was a great point.
And speaking of that, I mean, the thing that really I started wrapping my brain around that is the development of drones. And you fly them in the air, and it makes you think like decoy spreads.
Exactly.
I mean, camo patterns. I don't know if you guys do use them in pattern development, but I mean, man, that's a game changer.
Exactly.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, even as a hunter, me personally as a hunter, I'm a big duck hunter, and my nephew's got drones, so a lot of times we get our blinds set up. First thing I want them to do is fly that drone over it. I want to see what it looks like from the duck's eyes. I want to see what it looks like. And the same thing with us. You talk about with development work, when we do effectiveness photos or photo shoots for our patterns, we're typically flying a drone at some point in time, seeing what, especially in the waterfowl patterns. But it's always fun to see that view, because it gives you a different point of view, a different perspective to see what the animals are seeing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Let's see. So we'll switch gears a little bit. While we're down here in McGee, we've been doing some duck hunting, and, man, we were talking about how the birds have been slow.
Yeah, man, as a duck hunter or any hunter, I can give you 1,000 reasons why. I've always got excuses of why we're not killing them. I know I referred to earlier is I feel like for some reason, it's been the cloudiest duck year I've ever been a part of, and traditionally I would rather a bright sunny day with a strong north wind, or really any wind right now if you got the birds already. But I can't give an exact answer to that. I don't know if we've still killed a lot of ducks this year, but we're way off of what we have, and we haven't killed near as many mallards as we usually do. We've killed a lot of teal, which which saves some hunts, and we love shooting them. We love shooting all ducks, but we feel like, I mean, it hadn't got as cold up north as it usually does earlier. I mean, typically we love for it to get really cold up there early. I know y'all don't as much, but we do. And sometimes, man, you hear different, and they do different studies, man, and they fly drones around to a bunch of different refuges around here. And sometimes these birds just skip us. They go on further. They go to Louisiana. They go to the marsh. They come back up. They stay on the river more. They come out to the fields more. And you always hear, well, is the flyway changing a little bit? Man, I don't know. I mean, there's so many different reasons of why you're not killing ducks. Maybe we haven't killed ducks as consistently as we usually do. But I guess the number one thing would be weather, man. I think that just plays such a huge part. I mean, during hunting season, I can't tell you how many times I check my weather app each day. I mean, it gets to be where I look at that as much as I look at anything.
We talked about that in a podcast.
How many weather apps do you have on your phone?
Oh, man, 2 or 3, but I constantly, like, while we were hunting today, I looked at it 4 or 5 times in a 20-minute span, and I'm like, It's like I don't know. I just look at it.
I know. We
And I'm
all.
hoping I see something different sometimes.
Yeah. We all talk about it before a hunt, like everybody's looking at the weather, and then we always kind of ask, "What did you use? Was that AccuWeather? Was that Weather Underground? Was that
Weather Channel? Yeah,
Weather
Scout
Channel?
Look.
What was that? And
Weather bug, whatever. Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, and everybody kind of double checks the other resource just to verify and and we'll kind of maybe make an average or something.
Yeah,
We're
I
the
think
same
I've got
way.
5 on my phone,
That's
and I
pretty
check
good.
them all. Like like whether you're deer hunting or
Oh,
you're
yeah.
checking a wind,
For
or
sure.
you're trying to figure out how you're going to set your spread. Whether you're in a field, if you've already got a snow goose spread out, am I going to have to get up at 2 in the morning to go out and change it? Or oh my gosh.
Yeah, you become obsessed with smartphones and trying to outthink them a lot of times. But you talk about those apps. I mean, I've got one app on my phone. I don't even know what it's called, but it's a weather app related. But it shows the Google Images where you can set it up and pulls it to the field you're in, shows you the wind direction. It'll actually, you can hit the bird sign. It tells you which direction you're supposed to put your decoys out. I'm like, greatest thing in the world right here. I don't have to think.
That dang weather app, man, that'll get you.
It'll get you every
man.
time.
It does.
Now, Brian, you had your dog with you today, right?
Yep.
Okay, and how old is your dog?
Kate's 4 years old now. Be 4 in March.
All right, and Houston, one of the guys we duck hunt with, he had a dog. It was his first year dog, and man, we were
first hunting year.
Yeah, first year, and we were really impressed. And let's see, you said you bought your dog trained, or
No, I got her as a pup actually for my daughters, and ended up a good friend of mine that we had been talking with for years. He's a dog trainer and has trained a lot of really good dogs over the years. So he said, "Hey, I'll give her a try." I had no intentions of training her for a duck dog. She was going to be a pet, but he kept her for 6-8 months, year, and she's turned out to be a pretty good dog, and she's still a pet for my little girls. When duck season's not around, I always tell them about September to January, it's Daddy's dog. After that, you can have her.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So,
She did a pretty good retrieve. Let's see I don't know who shot that. I think it was you that
shot
shot
that
that
too.
teal.
Yep.
You hit one that I don't know how far that was. That was every bit of 60 yards, I think.
it was a good lucky shot I made today.
That was a great shot, man. And I love to see an aggressive dog. I love to see a dog that sees the bird, watches the bird get shot, whether it wounded or not. Like that one was trying to swim off. He didn't have to say a word. That dog took off.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a strong dog, too, to get through that mud and get through that water and all that
Yep.
grass he was in. It was a strong dog.
Yeah, I'll tell you a funny story is, she's definitely a high energy dog, and she's been that way since she was a pup. And probably, I don't know, when she was a year old, I'm going out training on weekends with Sean Sims, who did the training on her, and he's got his big truck with all the dogs' name taped on the each little hole he's got. And I looked up there at mine, and he had Crazy Kate on there, and I'm like, "Hey man, I don't appreciate you knocking off on my dog like that." And he and I have a good relationship, so it's kind of a little banter back and forth. And he said, "I've never seen a dog that has as much energy as yours." He said, "When I let her out," he said, "I have to give her about 5 minutes." He said, "She jumps on the four-wheeler, jumps over the four-wheeler, jumps on the trailer, and he lets her get her energy out." But just what you talked about, she's got drive, and I've been with some other trainers up there with him, but it's one thing. It's kind of like an athlete. There's certain things that you can't teach, and you can't teach drive. It's like an athlete. I mean, they've either got it or they don't, and some people don't like that. But I love a dog that's got high energy and wants to go get it. There's a lot of dogs that look like they go out there and you have to force them to go get a duck. I never have that trouble. I mean, there's times I have to hold her back because she's so anxious to get up there. But it's always funny because Sean, that first duck season, he wasn't with me a lot when we were hunting first, but I kept telling him, I'm like, "Man, you got to come with me because when I get her in a duck blind, she's calm, and y'all saw that today. I mean, she sits there and she watches and
Doesn't whine, whimper, anything.
Nope, she just looks at the sky, and when you blow a duck call, she knows what that means. She's looking up, and it's fun to watch her. And I told Sean, I said, "You got to come see this." And I think he would just our back and forth. He kind of thought I was kidding, but last year he got to come hunt with us a few times, and he's like, "Man, I can't believe you're gonna make a liar out of me." He said, "She does do good when you get in the blind, but." Just some of those dogs have it, some of them don't. But I love the energy she's got, and sometimes it can get on your nerves. But for the most time, it's fun.
There was 2 separate occasions I remember specifically today where we had ducks buzzing us, and I was trying to keep my face down, and I could look down at her, and she was just watching them in the air, following them. Use the dog.
That's awesome. I don't know if it's a natural it's got to be something in her. But, man, that's fun, especially some of those blinds that, not today, but I've hunted before, where you can just, like you just said, you can look down and watch the dog. And if you see it it will tell you when there's ducks flying or there's ducks working. Then you get up and start looking and start calling.
Yeah,
that's fun to see in a dog.
Over the last couple of years, I've had that several times because she watches the sky so much, and I don't know if it's hearing, if it's innate or what it is, but there's a lot of times she sees birds before we do as hunters and hears them, whatever it is. But sometimes, like you said, you just look up and I was like, oh, there they are. We need to get ready.
She's letting us know.
Yes. I love watching a good dog work. Absolutely.
Yeah, that adds another element to the hunt. It makes it just brings another level of excitement out there to the hunt for sure.
Oh, yeah, that and the fact that you don't have to go out there and fight that muck to
That's
go
right.
get the bird.
No,
That's
just
right.
like that. There's probably maybe 2 ducks today. It would have been tough if we wouldn't have. Without a dog, we may not have got that one for
That's
sure
right.
because
That's
he was
right.
swimming off as well, and so that saves you several birds, and you hate losing ducks. So that does save you.
Yeah, knock on wood, we didn't lose any today.
No,
and hopefully
no,
tomorrow
we
will be
didn't
the
have
same
many
way.
to lose, but we didn't lose any.
That's
No,
right.
that's true. And we didn't educate any.
No, we did not. We didn't see many ducks at all. I think we killed 7 all day,
Yeah.
and it was a tough 7, and it's just slow, man.
7 drakes, though. Think of
7
that.
drake teal, yes.
Yes. So we're going to eat good.
You're right. You're
Yeah.
right. Like you said earlier, I think me and you agreed that teal is one of our favorite ducks to cook.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Hands down. Well, and dove, but I mean, it's
Yeah,
not it's
you're right.
a fowl, but I don't know. I love teal. They're delicious. They're really good duck to eat.
So where did you grow up or hunting, or did you get into waterfowl early, or was it later in life, or
Yeah, for me, I mean, probably when I was about 14 or 15, that was the thing. I'm from Georgia. We don't have the big migration. I mean, I'm from western Georgia, so there is a migration over on the coast, but, we got a lot of wood ducks. That's pretty much what we got, wood ducks and merganders. But, I had my best friend growing up when we were about 13, 14 years old. We chased ducks all the way, through college. And one time I was probably 24, 25 years old. I came to Arkansas for the first time in my life, and it was an eye-opening experience for me because I'd been chasing wood ducks, and, you go out and work your butt off in a Georgia swamp just to get a couple wood ducks, and you come out here and you can see more ducks in one sit than you would all year at home. So it was like an awakening for me for duck hunting. And the unfortunate part for me was all my friends and buddies that I had that were into duck hunting were all getting married about that time. So duck hunting and travel trips for them were not in their future. So luckily for me, when I got married, I had my brother-in-law who was not a hunter and his boys who went hunting with me a lot, but they didn't grow up hunting. But we wanted to do something that we could all hunt together. And I said, well, let's get on some duck hunt trips. Y'all will like that, I feel like. And that's probably about 8 or 10 years ago, and so I'd kind of taken a break from duck hunting, not because of I wanted to, just because I really didn't have a lot of my buddies to go with anymore. But now I've got my family to duck hunt with, so that makes it even more better. That we're all hunting together. So there's a group of us that come out of Georgia, and we've got places out here in Mississippi and Arkansas that we come to quite often, and every chance we get. But it's become a family event for me.
And one thing I love about waterfowl hunting in general, it's perfect to introduce a new person to because it's not like you got to be quiet. You don't have to sit still. You don't have to be scent free. You can have a good time. It's about camaraderie. There's always snacks. It's a good time.
Well, and you look at our industry as a whole, the hunting industry, there's a lot of barriers to entry, when you get in this. And we talk about it a lot with, Bill in our office. He's got a point. When you look at the fishermen, single mom, single dad, whatever it may be, they can go to your local sporting goods store and they can buy a fishing pole and they can go to most any public lake and start fishing tomorrow. If someone wants to get into hunting, it's not that easy to entry to just to go grab you a shotgun or go grab your rifle or a bow, whatever it may be, and go find you a piece of property. So there are some barriers to entry, but waterfowl's one I think that still has some low levels of entry that you can get into. Now it's definitely become a expensive sport to get into, but there are still a lot of public land that you can waterfowl hunt on. You just got to get the right equipment.
Well, and that's the thing too. Usually you can find somebody in the hunting circle that's got a lot of the equipment. Not always, but they're going to have a lot you can either borrow. But I think it's great for kids too, because kids have trouble being quiet and sitting still. I have trouble being quiet and sitting still sometimes.
I've got 2 daughters that are 15 and 12. And, for years they've gone duck hunting with me, and they like to deer hunt, they like to turkey hunt, but duck hunting I'd say is fun for them. Other than the fact when it gets really bone chilling cold, they're not fond of that. But they make these little Mr. Buddy heaters that are good for duck blinds that'll take care of those little girls when that happens. But like I said, it's a very social sport for us. I mean, it's good to sit in there and talk, and you can cut up and mess with each other about missing shots and stuff like that. But it is a good social event.
Absolutely. So, Cole, turkey, deer, ducks, what's your cup of tea? What's your favorite?
Man, deer and duck are pretty much. We turkey hunt a lot as well, but turkey falls in at number 3 for me, and a lot of people would probably not agree with that. But I'm a deer hunter and a duck hunter at heart, and I gotta say I like them the same. It really depends on where I'm at, the weather, anything. I would say this year I've enjoyed deer hunting a little bit more just because of the lackluster year we've had in killing ducks. But we still killed them. But I would say we've had a great deer year this year. We've been very fortunate. But I'd say duck and deer are pretty much a tie, and then turkey comes in after that. That would kind of be where I stand there.
So with the lackluster duck season that's taking place, you ready for turkey season? Ready to?
No, I'm never ready for duck season to be over.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as I'm ready for this to, what do we got, 2 weeks left, a week and a half left, and I'm ready to be at home a little bit more. I hadn't seen my family. I got a little boy at home, and ready to be home a little bit more. And this last week, we will be hunting at the house a little bit more.
We're going to try and send as many birds down as we can.
Please do. Please do. I live about an hour and a half from here, and I'm up here, down there, here and there all the time. So I don't know. I'm not looking forward to turkey yet. I will when it gets here. We got some good weather, as y'all know. Y'all about to get hit pretty hard this week coming up as y'all head back, and we're looking forward to y'all's weather getting y'all coming down our way a little bit.
Well, we feel like y'all came down here and scouted out the area, and now y'all can go back home and release the birds.
Exactly.
I mean, now you know what you got down here. Just go ahead and let them go.
Let them go. I don't know. I was talking. I probably told everybody that this is the latest I've ever shot teal. It was Christmas, and I was still shooting teal up in North Missouri, which is crazy. I can't recall ever shooting them much past Thanksgiving. And here it was Christmas, shooting green wings.
Funny thing about you guys talking about ducks being up where we were. I think just last week we were talking about all of our Canada geese are up in Iowa still. So we're doing it too. Our duck season ends, and then we have a bunch of local geese, and we're like, where are they at? They're still stuck above us. It's just funny how that happens. It's just the weather,
and
like
what
you said.
I find kind of odd is you guys don't get a lot of honkers down here.
Man, it's like they get to Missouri, and it's like dry field hunting. It's almost unheard of in Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi. But when you get to Illinois and above that, and Missouri, and I don't know how much y'all do of that, but I know you have it in pretty good in places, and it doesn't happen. It's like non-existent. When we kill ducks out of slash water, I mean, 2 inches of water, but man, we don't it just doesn't happen down here.
We get the pleasure of playing in the mud.
Exactly, man. If it ain't got a little bit of water in that field, man, it's like as soon as they cross that Missouri-Arkansas line, and honkers don't get below it. It's crazy to us. We got a couple in town that are local, but man, you heard Jeff mention today that he sells almost zero honker decoys.
That's right.
And it's just, we just don't get them. I don't know what it is. I can't answer that.
I think they go to Oklahoma because I know those guys hammer them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they just fly
They
down
don't
the
go
state
east.
line. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when they hit, they're like, oh, there's Arkansas, and we need to head west,
Exactly.
boys.
Oh, there's some crazy guys that duck hunting pit blinds everywhere out there. They're just going to get pop shot at, so they don't do it.
Which I have noticed driving around down here, you don't see a field right now that doesn't have some form of water in it.
Mm-hmm. And that hurts us, and that we've alluded to that a little bit. We've had a lot of rain, but with the rain, we hadn't necessarily had the cold weather. We just had a lot of water. And when we have all this water, like Mississippi River's backed out, all these other rivers around this area are backed out, and there's water in every field. And then you got 100 ducks here, 200 here, 50 here, whatever, in all these fields. Well, that's taken away from your main areas where you hunt. So that has played a part in
The
it.
places you do flood.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody's flooded.
And then, we want that water depth shin deep in a lot of places. We don't want it up over your knee or thigh deep if you're hunting in fields and stuff. We don't want that water that deep. Them ducks like to feed in shallower water.
Which is, opposite of what we're used to. We're used to waist deep water.
Right. And in the woods, sometimes that's where we're at, or on the backwaters of the river. But if it's up to us, we're pulling boards out of fields if it's getting up knee deep. I mean, we want it shallower than that.
Yeah, by us, we're a lot of times in millet and smartweed, and it's up to your knees or knees to waist is what you're usually dealing with a lot of times. So sometimes you can hunt an area where you can drop to a knee and be fine. Sometimes you can't. I mean, it's
kind of no man's land right there.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Now, do you guys do a lot of spec hunting down here?
Yeah, we do. Like last year, we had a great year killing specs, and a lot of times, like we talked about earlier, man, we got anywhere from whether it's 6 floaters. I'm just talking about a pit line setup or a rice field, bean field setup, whatever. In a pit line, you can have anywhere from 6 to 2 dozen decoys out there, and you can call them right in on a good day. And this year's been down on specs as well for us.
And that Chandler and I were talking about that. You say down, our mind's blown how many we've seen down here, because normally they skip right over us.
Right.
Like you say, you guys don't get the honkers. We're starting to get more specs, but normally the only time I hear them in the fall is at night, flying overhead.
Oh, we're usually covered up in specs. I mean, just covered up in specs. And we still have some, but it just seems like everything is off a little bit this year. And like I said, I got a bunch of reasons, but I don't know if any of them are true.
They make you feel better, though. That's all.
Yeah, they do. That's what I tell myself.
Yes, you got as many reasons as a guy goes out to adjust his decoys.
Exactly.
That's one thing we always do. We did that last week duck hunt, or 2 weeks ago duck hunting. Every 30 minutes, a group of birds would come in, and they wouldn't sit down just right. So you go out
Call,
there.
not call, turn mojos off, owner off, change decoys. What is it? And man, do we get too many? Not enough. Especially late in the year, man. It's kind of funny when you look back on it now, and see it. It really is.
And sometimes you wonder if they don't just say, hey, let's see if we can get these guys to come out here and play in the decoys a little bit. We're just going to fly by.
You're right.
We're going to fly by. Brian, what's your favorite? Are you duck, deer, turkey?
I'm definitely duck. Duck's number 1, deer's number 2, and then turkey would be number 3. But, yeah, duck hunting's my passion. I love it. The unfortunate part for me, I live in Georgia where duck hunting's not that great. I mean, there's decent duck hunting there, but, we got to travel to the Delta region somewhere to have good duck hunts, but that's what we do and love to do it.
You're in deer and turkey country over there.
Deer and turkey country. We don't have a shortage of either one of them. In Georgia, we still have a 12 deer limit per year. So it's
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy for a lot of people to think that, but it's no shortage of those for sure. And turkey's the same way. I mean, any given day I can step out my back door and watch deer and turkey in the backyard. So it's a great thing over there for that. But definitely duck is king for me. But unfortunate part, like I said, we got to come out here to do it. So
Absolutely. Now, we've talked about timber. Are you involved in the development of all patterns or just waterfowl patterns, or?
No, for about the past 6 to 8 years, that's kind of been one of my roles there at Realtree is working directly with Bill on pattern development. We've got a team that does that, and we all work together. And Bill uses a lot of peer groups. He wants to talk to our pro staff, like Cole and Kyle and others, that are in the field every day. And we use that knowledge. And of course, Bill's got a 30+ year history of doing that himself. So he's got a pretty good grasp whenever he comes up with a concept. I mean, it's always a challenge because he's got it in his mind. He knows exactly what he wants to do. We just got to figure out how to get it out of there. And that's always a challenge. To get his mind on paper, basically, or on fabric is what we're trying to do. But it's a process to do that. It's a fun process. It's sometimes painstaking, but Bill's a perfectionist at what he does, and that makes us who we are today.
Absolutely. Anything else you're wanting to hit?
Well, yeah, it's kind of, we were talking, today's hunt was pretty stale, and it's not saying birds are stale, but it seemed like when we were driving down, we saw a lot of ducks, like you were saying. Cole, you're saying there's 200 here, 100 here, 50 here, 20 here, 2 there, whatever. We saw that on the way here, but it seemed like today all the ducks, they knew where they were going. They knew that they're gonna, go lane with 6 that were over here, and then maybe these were going over here, these 50. So I mean, some scouting might be really important around this time. I mean, you got to be where the ducks want to be.
It is, and I'd been watching that field for the last 2 to 3 days, and and they did exactly what we thought they were going to do. They've been roosting in there, coming in when your temps are in the 50s and 60s, which they'll be yesterday and today and tomorrow. They don't have to do anything. They can sit all day on wherever they're sitting. They don't have to worry about anything locking up. They don't have to feed that much. They can just loaf, do whatever they do, and just there's nothing making them do anything. And another thing is, we talk about so much water. There's not many hunters. We've heard numerous guys that we know all around this area say, "Man, we're not coming back till Saturday." Well, we started this on Monday evening, and all week, and we've had no guys around the surrounding farms. And it actually helps when we have more hunters around here.
Oh, it keeps the birds straight.
Man, I went to 3. While I dropped you off today, I went to 3 different fields where it's consistently they kill ducks. Nobody was hunting. Ducks sitting on their fields. Not a ton, but there are ducks sitting there. And that hurts us as well, too, when we were the only guys hunting this morning, and there's no pressure for them other guys to come for the ducks to come to where we're at.
Yeah. We do a lot of public land hunting up around our area, and sometimes there's that perfect balance of just enough to keep them up, not too much, to be calling off of you or shooting off your swings and stuff. But there is, on public land sometimes you can have some good hunts when the birds are kept up with the different parties that are spread out correctly, we definitely see that.
The only disadvantage to public land hunting is it seems like every time we got 2, 3, 4, 5 mallards cupped up and coming in, somebody a quarter mile away just empties their gun and they flare and then they don't even come
We
back.
fight the same thing. We
Oh,
do some
yeah.
public land hunting, too.
Oh my gosh, every time.
I think it's every hunt.
Oh,
Every
yeah.
time on public land, we've had, and they're always. Why is it always the best groups that day
I
hunting?
know.
It's always the perfect. Like you see the green heads. There's maybe
They're committed, no doubt.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes you feel like it's another group just shooting one time at some high duck coming over, and it's not like they had been working a group and they bang them out right there. It seems like, there's just a pop shot somewhere.
And then
I'm
you
like,
try and think, did they do it on purpose? But they didn't because
I
they're
know.
around
They
the
can't even
next
see it.
cove
Yeah.
a quarter mile away, and it's just like, oh my gosh, the timing is impeccable.
Sometimes I'm mad at the duck because I'm like, can't you tell that's a mile away,
Nope.
and you still flared off of it?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh yeah, which is funny too because there's times where you're out, you got a dog out in the decoys or somebody's out in the decoys directing a dog, and those birds, they could care less, but a gunshot a quarter mile away freaks them out.
Exactly.
I don't understand them. They're frustrating.
They are. It's a love-hate relationship. It's tough.
Why don't you get something figured out, Cole, so you can tell
I'm
me on a
trying,
secret?
man. I'm trying.
You gonna find us some birds for tomorrow?
I sure hope so. I sure hope so. We'll see. It's not looking super promising, but
He's
we'll
got
see.
a plan, though.
He does.
He's got a plan.
No worries. Okay. Well, 43 minutes. That's pretty legit. Yeah. There is one thing that has and hasn't surprised me. I feel like the odd man out being from the north part of the Midwest, and football's a religion down here. Holy cow.
Yep.
Wow.
it
You guys are talking, Auburn, Alabama, Clemson, Ole Miss, and I feel.
Don't
I
forget
feel
Florida
like-
State.
LSU.
Oh yeah, LSU. Holy cow! Yeah, Jeff was talking about it. I mean, wow.
It's
Fighting words down here too.
Oh, it's bad. It really is. And like you said, he's a Florida State guy. I'm an LSU guy, and that whole Realtree office is him, Florida State, Auburn, Alabama, Georgia, and they're all diehard.
Ole Miss.
Ole
yeah.
Miss. I forget about the main
Bill.
one.
That's
Bill,
right.
Yeah.
That's five big time colleges there, and it's brutal, man. It is brutal.
What's it like
When
working
we-
there?
When we were talking earlier, we were in there talking high school recruits and who's going
Yeah.
where. And I was telling those guys, I said it's always fun there around Realtree during football season because Fridays are usually spent with Bill making his bets, usually just fun lunch bets, but he's trying to get as many bets as he can for the weekend games. And then Mondays are spent cleaning up the bets, whether he's collecting or trying to get out of the bets, whichever it may be. But it's always fun. We have a lot of fun during football season because, like I said, that's what everyone down here in the South lives for. It's SEC country, and even though I'm a ACC guy, there's no doubt SEC is still king when it comes to football. So it's always fun.
February's a tough month for us, man. It's usually a lot of rain, cold,
Yep.
no hunting season's in,
No football.
No football.
no football. That kills us, and we do a lot. We cook a lot of crawfish and do a lot of that on the weekends. And man, it's cold. They're not really in season yet, so it's a tough month. It's not a downer, but it is. It's kind of you got to kind of get all your stuff back together.
That's when you take a breather and just relax for a
You're
little
right.
while. And
You're right. An attempt to try to get back in shape, but that doesn't usually happen.
Nope.
And then the complete opposite would be that August going into September when everything's starting right back up.
You're right.
It's starting to break loose.
Yes.
Yep.
I do know that. I'm like a little kid when August rolls around. We always talk about, for us, our waterfowl weekend, which is the first weekend in August, and now we've got kind of a goose weekend, which is the week before that, so it's a whole waterfowl week. That's what kind of really gets us excited because, for 10 days we're talking with duck hunters and goose hunters, and it's everything waterfowl. It's at the 1st of August, but then, you're 3 weeks out from dove season at that point, and then that just sends you into overload for the next
You're
120 days. You're just like a little
Your
kid.
mind's spinning.
Yeah, as
Constantly.
a kid, I can remember growing up, hunting. I mean, it was always Labor Day weekend. That was opening day of dove season in Georgia for us, and that was like the start. I mean, it was kind of like the holiday. I mean, we're fixing to get started on this journey, for the fall. But dove season was always a kickoff for us. But like I said, now with what's going on in the retail world, you got to get ahead of the game, and you guys know it best when you have these duck and goose weekends. That's what it's about, getting that preparation ready for the fall.
Well, I mean, it's exciting, it's fun, but the one thing I don't get excited about is my bank account dwindling down. It seems to disappear that time of year because there's decoys and, bow hunting stuff and
whatever's the latest and greatest coming out.
There's such a big difference in what I need and what I want, and I struggle with that.
Just imagine how much Realtree Timber you're going to have to get next year when you see it in the store.
Exactly.
Well, no, I've already seen it, and then seeing Cole decked out in it. And I'm wearing Max 5, and I look at him, and I'm like, yeah, that's it's going to get expensive.
Yeah, and we got Rogers waders coming in Realtree Timber, 3 different models.
Oh man.
Yeah, that'll be a later podcast. We're making 3 different models this year. That's right.
Yeah. 3 different models, and that are going to be offered in timber. So it's going to be a good wader. I mean, me and Aaron are wearing them, and we also sell the banded waders and stuff. And we've had the timber jackets in from Banded and Drake. So it'll be good next year when it's a full. We get the full 19 full release.
Absolutely. And I think, too, like it was one of those that was such a soft release, just kind of casual. You're like, oh, that's a good-looking pattern. But the more you see it, the more you see it out in the environment.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first opportunity I've really been around it where, either you're wearing it or Cole's wearing it or David's wearing it, a lot of people wearing it, and just seeing how good it really looks in the environment, not just hanging in a retail facility.
That's right. Definitely when you get out in the field and you see what it was designed for and it's in its natural elements, it makes a difference.
It
on what it
impresses
looks
the
like.
heck out of you. Absolutely. There's no doubt about that.
There's a video release with Dr. Duck. Dennis was on one of our podcasts, a while ago.
Yeah.
That was over Waterfowl weekend.
Last year.
And they have a recent video out, and you get to see it, in the field and stuff like that. It's good looking.
Only so much video can do, though. You see it with your own eyes, and that's what really sells it.
That's right. Yep.
So it's exciting.
Yeah. So if you can imagine what the duck, what the bird's looking at, if you hunt in an area where you think that a darker scenario pattern would help you out, I mean, you really got to look at this pattern because, like Aaron was talking about between the corn rows, or just, there's always the darker base behind that grass that you might be hunting in and stuff like that, and there's always that dark. If you're using a blind to cover you up, you don't have to be as bright. You can be in a darker pattern, and you can use that layering with the grass in front of you to really start layering yourself to start disappearing. So if you think from that bird's eye view, if you need to be in a darker pattern and not be sticking out, because maybe you have maybe it's a cornfield that's, it's plowed a little bit more, chisel plowed or something. You got a lot of that dirt. Being in a Max 5 pattern is going to have some darkness, but being in that timber is going to be really dark. So just think about your scenarios and what the bird's looking at. And this timber pattern is going to give you a lot of different options, and it's an all-purpose pattern, just like Max 5 is for waterfowl hunting, I think.
Sure, absolutely. All right, well, we're going on 50 minutes, and Cole drug us out of bed at some unreasonable hour this morning to go stare.
See me yawning over here.
Yeah, exactly. And I know there's college ball on. Everybody kind of wants to go take a peek in there in the other room, but we appreciate you guys being on the podcast.
We enjoyed y'all being down. I wish we'd have had a little better luck, but we appreciate y'all coming down.
Well, that's okay. And we really appreciate Realtree having us down, man. It was a blast.
Yep.
And we appreciate what all you guys do for us, too.
No,
as a company.
that's likewise, especially as a retailer. We appreciate the support, and you guys do a great job up there in Missouri, and it's a two-way partnership there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll have to get up and check out Waterfowl Weekend, man.
That sounds good, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, that's it for this week, and we're out.